Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Samantha, and if you love reading, you are in the right place today. I am a lifelong reader, and I wanted to come on here to make a spring/summer 2025 book haul and also give you some recommendations based on the books that I've bought recently that are going to keep me busy for the next few months. So I love reading, and I just wanted to start making YouTube videos again just to share my thoughts and my excitement for these recent reads. So we could just go ahead and jump into it. The first book that I want to share is one that I bought on release day. I bought it earlier this month in March, and that is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is the third book in the Legendborn series, and this is a young adult fantasy series. So if you've not heard of it, the first book is called Legendborn. I would highly recommend this. I am starting to age out of young adult. I feel like I don't read it as much anymore and I don't really connect to it, but this series is so well written, and even though the characters are young adult age, they're about 16, 17, almost 18, so they're still in that young adult phase, but it reads more like a new adult fantasy to me, and it doesn't feel, the writing is really good. So this series is a King Arthur and the Knights at the Round Table retelling, and it's about a young girl who goes to this early college program at UNC Chapel Hill, and essentially once she gets there, she discovers that there are students on campus with magic, and there's this secret society that they're a part of, and it somehow connects back to her personal life, and she wants to know why, and she has no idea why she feels drawn to them, and the story just goes from there. So it's a really interesting retelling, and it's very unique. I've never heard of a story like this, and I always love a good retelling, and this one just takes a whole new twist on it, and it's so good. It is so good. If you all take anything away from this video today, definitely pick up Oathbound, and this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and it has a really pretty art on the inside, so if you're able to pick up their version, it's really cute. But this book is huge. I'm currently reading this one, still reading it. It's taken me a few weeks just because I've been busy, but it is a really good book, and it's a really good series, and I believe it'll be 4 books in total. So this one just came out, and I'm sure the next book will be coming out in the next few years. And then the next one, I bought a few books. So this next one is called The Most Famous Girl in the World by Iman Hariri Kia. And this one, I've never heard of this author. I've never heard of this book. It just jumped out at me at Barnes & Noble. It was on the very front table that you see when you enter the store. And so I was just looking around, and this one jumped out because it was pink and it has these lips and it's so cute. And I was like, what is this? So essentially it is about a young woman who was an online journalist, and someone that she wrote a story about was put in prison, partly I guess because of what she wrote, and the person who was in prison has been released. And I think it follows that this person who was released from prison is coming after the online journalist, the main character. Essentially that's all I know about this book. Very interesting plot, very unique, not something that I would typically read. So I think this is just regular fiction, but if that sounds interesting to you, I haven't read it yet, but I'm interested to see what it's all about. And then the next book I'm really excited about because I absolutely love this cover, and I've heard of this book before. It's called Mother Thing by Annalise Hogarth, and let's just look at this cover and admire it for a moment. I love horror and I love weird girl books. If you've never heard of this kind of subcategory of genre, a lot of books that fall into that are either Rouge or Bunny by Mona Awad. There's one that I really like called They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. So weird girl books are just kind of they follow these weird plots, and they're kind of horror, but maybe a little bit of supernatural and kind of weird. So this one I think would fall into that. And it's about a woman who recently gets married, and her mother-in-law commits suicide, and her mother-in-law's ghost starts haunting her. And so it's essentially about that. Again, I've heard of this book before, and I've heard pretty good things, and I love horror, so this is something that I think would fall right into the categories of books that I like to read. So I'm very excited to get into this one when I can. And then the next few books that I bought have been romances. So I bought A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This book has been out for a while, but it's finally in paperback, and that's why I got this one. I prefer reading paperbacks, and I've seen the hardback the last few months, but I was waiting for this version, so I'm very excited that I finally got it. I don't know too much about it. I know it's a romance. It's set in New York City. I loved Tia Williams' other book called 7 Days in June, I believe, yes. And I read it a few years ago, and I really liked her writing because it just felt really realistic. Like, it was a very realistic type of romance, and that one was also set in New York City, and the main character had a daughter, and again, it just felt very grounded and very real, and it seemed like how real life would play out, but it was also a romance, so it still had a good ending. And so that's why I wanted to pick up this one as well. I just think that it will be kind of similar to that type of vibe. It's going to be a romance, and I'm hoping that it'll be, like I said, grounded, more realistic, and I love Tia Williams' writing, so I'm excited to get into this one. And the next romance I bought was First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I've been seeing this one on TikTok, and again, this cover just stuck out to me. I love the color scheme, I love the pink and the yellow, and I thought that the premise was very unique on this one. It is set in Boston, I believe, and it's about a guy who is a radio show host who offers dating advice, I think, and he's kind of fallen out of believing in love and believing in romance, and this girl calls into the hotline, and I'm sure they hit it off from there, and then we see their love story. So I love a good romance, especially in the spring and summertime, so this is the perfect little story to jump into. Then the next book that I picked up is The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I am not too much of a fantasy reader. I have to really be in the mood for it, and I picked this one up the same day I picked up Oathbound, so I think I was just in that kind of like a mindset of wanting a fantasy book. I haven't read it yet, but it is about, I think it's about an orphanage, or it's about a house of children that have like magical powers, and this old man like has a connection with them, or I don't know if he teaches them or something, but it is a fantasy, and I hear that it is highly, highly rated. I've seen it on TikTok before, so I'm excited to get into this one when I kind of get back into that fantasy, vibe that I like. Sometimes it just comes and goes, but again, this cover is beautiful, and I will be excited to get into it. I think this is also a series, or it's a duology, so once I read this one, if I like it, I'm sure I will pick up the next one as well. And then last but not least on this book haul today, I got the most recent Hunger Games novel, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Of course I did. And I'm so glad I picked it up because I didn't get this on release day, and then I went to a bookstore, a local bookstore a few days later, and they didn't have it. It was already sold out. Then I went to Barnes & Noble the next day, and they had restocks of it. So I'm so glad that I was able to get my hands on it. And this is Haymitch's story. If you're unfamiliar with the Hunger Games, how could you be? Because they're insanely popular, but it is a dystopian novel, a young adult dystopian novel. So again, I feel like I'm aging out of young adult, but for series that have already started and that I kind of have that like base knowledge of, because I read Hunger Games literally when I was 12 years old as the intended age group, I think going into the stories now is a little bit different than new young adult stories. And also, again, this one's similar to the Legendborn series, where the writing is really mature and it doesn't seem too young for me. And so I think that's why I'm going to continue to like this series. I've read all of the Hunger Games books multiple times, and then I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes when it came out last year or the year before, and I still liked it. So I'm excited to get into Haymitch's story. He's one of the more beloved characters of the series, and so I know a lot of people will be very excited about this book. So that is my full book haul. Again, these are books that I've just picked up in the last few weeks that I'm excited to get into for the spring and the summer. If you have read any of these books, let me know if you liked them, or if you have any other like spring summer recommendations or anything that you're just currently reading that you would want other people to read. You can go ahead and put those in the comments. And again, this is like the first video I've posted in forever. I've privated all my other videos that I posted years ago, but I want to get back into doing more just like book related content. I love reading, so I'll probably be doing more videos specifically around these books that I've recently bought and that I will read in the future. kind of just doing discussions and reviews and things like that. So if you're interested in that type of content and you also are liking kind of the same books that I like, if you liked the vibe in this video, go ahead and subscribe. I will be posting more. So thank you all for staying around and watching the video, and I hope you all enjoyed this haul, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.